Welcome back to Unit 2. We're moving on to Progress Check 3. So let's go review our vocabulary that we learned about at the beginning of this unit. So remember I said we were going to keep coming back to the vocabulary because at the end of this unit, we're going to have a vocab quiz. All right, so here we go. Income. Income is the money received for working or from investments of other sources. Outgo is the money paid out for expenses. That's what we're going to talk about right now. So remember Jake from our previous progress? How does Jake get the money for all of those expenses? He makes it by working during the day at a service station, a gas station. The money he makes is his income. The money he pays out for his expenses is often called outgo. When you add up all your expenses, you know your outgo. Remember, you figured out the outgo for the 3 days in progress check 2. We added up all the money that Jake made. When you are out on your own, your outgo should be less than your income. If it isn't, you'll have to borrow money, and that's how people get into debt. For example, if you make $700 a month, your outgo can be $650, $600, or anything less than $700. You can't spend more than $700 without borrowing. So your income, so math time, your income minus your outgo equals your money left over. As long as you have some money left over, you are good. All right, stop. Progress check time. All right, so this is where I would go right here and go to your progress check. So here we go. There are just 2 questions right here that talk in part A that talk about income versus outgo. So you can do it now and stop the video or keep going and do it after. All right, welcome back. What are variable versus fixed expenses? Remember we talked about variable is things that are changing from time to time. Fixed is unchanging. It remains the same. You could decide how much you want to spend on some things. For example, the amount that you spend on food and clothing is up to you. Expenses that you can control are called variable expenses. That means that the amount is not always the same. It varies. Sometimes you can control it, sometimes you can't control it, but you can plan for it. For example, one week you may spend $32 on groceries. The next week you may spend $29 or $15. So examples of variable expenses would be groceries, gas, your electricity. Sometimes that kind of varies unless you decide to go with a lot of electricity companies have budget billing, so you can actually know how much it is a month. Some of your expenses, though, can't be changed or controlled. These are called fixed expenses. They're the same each and every month. For example, every month your rent may be $500. So your total outgo for each month is made up of 2 things. The first is variable expenses that you can control, and the second is fixed expenses that you can't control. So let's check and see to see if you understand the difference between variable versus fixed. So you're going to go into progress check. Look at part B, variable versus fixed expenses. These are Martha's expenses. Just like we did in part 2, you're going to look through each of these expenses. But for this one, you're going to decide if they're a fixed expense or a variable expense. And you're going to put each expense in the chart. You won't fill in all the boxes, but make sure you sort all 15 expenses. So on the next bit right here are your fixed. So you need to put the name of your fixed expense and then how much it costs. The name of your variable expenses and how much they cost. So here we go. Apartment rent. So your rent is a fixed expense. So you would take and go. The first thing you do is say, hey, am I going to put it in fixed expenses or am I going to put it under variable? Apartment rent is a fixed expense. So you would put it in here, apartment rent, and then you're going to put the price, sorry, my two sometimes sticks, right there. So you're going to go through each of these expenses and put them in whether or not they are a fixed expense or a variable. Then you're going to answer these 4 questions. All right, guys, that's progress check 2. Good luck.